Hello and welcome back to SHRM Session 7 Part 2. Here we will learn about effective negotiation and different negotiation styles. Your learning outcome for this lesson involves getting a deeper understanding about negotiations. By the end of this session, you will be able to learn how to negotiate effectively and also get to know different negotiation techniques. How can you negotiate effectively? There are four simple steps: setting objectives, preparing a case, the bargaining process itself, and finally reaching an agreement. Now let's look at these more closely. Setting objectives. This is the first step of effective negotiations. It's a very important part of the process since without having clear objectives, neither party will have an understanding of what is required. Step 2 is preparing a case. Now, this is the core of your entire argument and it has to be solid. It involves a considerable amount of preparation. Prepare the case using a mix of facts, logic, interests, and preferences. Have an understanding of the other party's viewpoint. This will help you counter argue without being taken by surprise. If possible, practice the presentation to ensure that all angles have been covered. Step 3 is the bargaining process itself. This is the biggest and most important part of the process. This is where the action takes place. Remember, you must use adjournment to consider new points. Leave the negotiation table or room if you need to and come back. Make use of questions when probing the other party's comments. Encourage the other party to talk and listen carefully. It's not all about you talking. This may help reveal the other party's lack of argument as well. Maintain emotional detachment. Keep tempers cool and do not antagonize the other party. And if an agreement cannot be reached on any detail, then put it aside for a while and move on to something else. And finally, reaching an agreement is the concluding phase of a good negotiation. Summarize each stage where an agreement has been reached before moving on to the next stage. Encourage the other party to see the benefits of accepting a proposal. This can help the other party to save face and also maintain their pride. Always aim for a win-win solution where both parties feel positive about the outcome. Win-lose solutions are rarely acceptable and often leave an underlying feeling of resentment, possibly by those who lost. Once an agreement has been reached, then it needs to be finalized immediately. This will prevent any second thoughts from surfacing. Also, it is better to find that you have not reached an agreement when you thought you had than to continue in ignorance. Normally, when an agreement is reached, it is written down and signed by both parties and also dated. Now, let's look at some different conflict management styles as depicted in this picture. However, all the slides mentioned here are probably not the best way to go about negotiating. Dominating negotiators are those who use force and power to resolve conflict. Integrating people are the cooperative ones. They seek to satisfy both parties. Compromising style of negotiation is where each party wins and also loses. Obliging negotiators are accommodating ones. And those who avoid negotiations are people who just wish for the problem to go away. Now let's look at some common negotiation styles in depth. The accommodating style. Although it is not always advantageous, there are many who adopt this style in order to maintain the relationship. These are individuals who enjoy solving the other party's problems and preserving personal relationships. Accommodators are sensitive to the emotional states, body language, and verbal signals of the other parties. However, they can feel taken advantage of in situations when the other party places little emphasis on the relationship. Avoiding. The avoiding style of negotiation is the most unhealthy of them all. These are individuals who do not like to negotiate and don't do it unless warranted. When negotiating, avoiders tend to differ and dodge the confrontational aspects of negotiations. However, they may also be perceived as tactful and diplomatic, although this is not the case. Collaborating. The collaborating style of negotiation is interesting because it involves individuals who enjoy negotiations that involve solving tough problems using creative ways. Collaborators are good at using negotiations to understand the concerns and the interests of the other party. They can, however, create problems by transforming simple situations into very complex ones. Competing. The competing style of negotiation is practiced by individuals who enjoy negotiations because they present an opportunity to win something. Competitive negotiators have strong instincts for all aspects of negotiation and are often very strategic. Their style of negotiation can dominate the bargaining process. Competitive negotiators often neglect the importance of relationships. Compromising. The compromising style of negotiations is practiced by those individuals who are eager to close the deal by doing what is fair and equal for all parties involved in the negotiation. Compromises can be useful when there is limited time to complete the deal. However, on the other hand, compromises often unnecessarily rush the negotiation process and make concessions too quickly.